The classic TV westerns Gunsmoke and Bonanza will long be remembered for their longevity, storylines, and leading actors. Yet no small screen western is perhaps more cherished than Rifleman, and no cowboy more esteemed than LUCAS McCAIN. The Rifleman rose to its iconic status early on because of the gripping father-son relationship between Father LUCAS McCAIN and his son Mark. The Rifleman was created by Arnold Levine and Sam Peckinpah, who helped develop the original story. One of the reasons this pair was so successful from the very beginning was because Peckinpah actually grew up on a ranch. Many of the characters and storylines were based on his real-life situations from his childhood. Obviously, his first-hand experience with country life made him the perfect writer for the series. But his refusal to sugarcoat the hard lessons that he felt the son, Mark McCain, needed to learn about life put him at odds with the show's producers very early on. Peckinpah left the series after only one season. Fans might remember that the show had a noticeable different look and feel. That's all attributed to the director, Joseph H. Lewis. The Rifleman was the first Western to be filmed with specific lighting techniques that were usually reserved for noir film. This was one of the things that made the series so unique. Its ever-changing, unconventional camera shots, its particular atmospheric lighting, enhancing black shadows and brightening whites. This was the first network television series to portray a widowed parent raising a child. It stated that LUCAS McCAIN's wife, Margaret, died from smallpox. Afterwards, he and Mark moved from Enid, Oklahoma, to the New Mexico territory. LUCAS McCAIN was therefore a pioneer parent on American television. The show's moral compass became one of its greatest draws. The original Rifleman was actually a script written for an episode of the Western series Gunsmoke. The script was rejected by producers of the show. 3 years later, it went into production for a new series. But there were significant changes made from the original script to the pilot episode of The Rifleman. Creator-producer Arnold Levine thought that the character, John McCain, should be a widower with a son. They also changed his name to Lucas. Furthermore, since there was a plethora of westerns on TV at the time, he wanted to distinguish the show from all the others. In order to do that, he decided to swap the standard pistol, so commonplace in other shows, with a rifle handled by their hero. To give him an advantage against the various villains that he would confront, the producers decided to create a custom rifle. The rifle was a modified Winchester Model 1892. It had a large ring lever that allowed McCain to slip his entire hand through. This meant that he could cock the rifle by spinning it around in his hand. It also featured a set screw that could be positioned to depress the trigger every time McCain worked the lever, giving it its rapid-fire action. It's pretty noteworthy that LUCAS McCAIN will at times handle the rifle with his right hand and at other times use his left. The producers of the show really strived for realism. However, they were not always 100% accurate. The big culprit actually involved one of the biggest stars of the show, the rifle. The show was set in the late 1870s to the 1880s, but the rifle that LUCAS McCAIN carried was a modified Winchester model from the year 1892. He was therefore carrying a gun around that had not been manufactured yet. The iconic 1892 rifle was used historically incorrectly here, but it was not the first time it was used in a movie or TV series. The same rifle was used by John Wayne in the 1939 film Stagecoach. Ironically, it too was set in 1880. Chuck Connors was actually a two-sport professional athlete. Before his acting career, he excelled as a two-sport athlete, beginning in his high school years, into college, and even as a pro. While attending high school in Brooklyn, he received athletic scholarship offers from dozens of colleges and universities. From those, he chose the nearby Seton Hall University. There he played both basketball and baseball. From his childhood, he never cared for his first name of Kevin. He had sought changing it throughout his younger years, but nothing ever really stuck. His new name, Chuck, was inspired by his days on the baseball diamond at Seton Hall. While in the batter's box, he would scream at the opposing pitcher, taunting him with, "Chuck it to me, baby, chuck it to me." His teammates and spectators caught on, and soon a nickname was finally established. After college, he played professional baseball periodically from 1940 to 1952. He spent several seasons in the farm systems for the Brooklyn Dodgers, the New York Yankees, and the Chicago Cubs. He eventually played 67 games in the majors. In 1946, he was drafted by the Boston Celtics. He played 53 games in the franchise's second season of 1947 to 1948. Connors made NBA history during his time playing with the Celtics. On November 5, 1946, he became the first professional basketball player to shatter a backboard. Connors actually credited his fortune and fame entirely to his start in professional sports. He repeatedly said that he owed baseball all that he had and much of what he hoped to have. Baseball made his entrance into the film industry much easier than it would have been if he'd done it on his own. To the greatest game in the world, he would be eternally in debt. He finally realized that he couldn't make a career in professional sports. While playing baseball, he was spotted by an MGM casting director. This led to immediate film roles, then to numerous television appearances. He would beat out 40 other actors for the lead role in Rifleman. He initially turned down the offer, though, because he felt the salary was way too low for a primetime TV show. He claimed that he was making more money doing freelance acting. In the midst of searching for another lead, the producers of Rifleman took their own children to the 1957 Disney film Old Yeller. Connors played a strong fatherly figure, and his chemistry with the child actor Timmy Kirk convinced the producers that he was for certain the perfect actor for the role on Rifleman. ABC went back to Connors, offered him more money, and Connors accepted. The first season of the show, it was highly popular. Following the 1958-59 season, it finished the Nielsen ratings as the fourth most popular television show nationwide. In fact, nearly 15 million people tuned in each week. Now that's pretty incredible considering that less than 44 million U.S. homes had a TV set at the time. The character of the son, Mark, was played by Johnny Crawford. Johnny Ernest Crawford was born March 26, 1946 in Los Angeles. He was noticeably talented from a very young age. He was one of the 24 founding Disney Mouseketeers. He was only 12 years old when he was cast as LUCAS McCAIN's son, Mark, in The Rifleman. Among his many accomplishments was the nomination for an Emmy when he was only 13 years old for his performance in The Rifleman. Even though he didn't win the award, he was beat by Dennis Weaver from Gunsmoke. It was still quite an honor for him to be nominated at such a young age. Like so many young television stars, he was a teen heartthrob. He had a thriving music career, too. He scored 4 top 40 hits in the early 1960s. The biggest was Cindy's Birthday. The love song peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1962. Though he was a success as an actor and a singer, he constantly made career changes. In 1965, he decided to join the United States Army. During his service, he worked as a production coordinator, a script supervisor, assistant director, and even an actor at times for Army training films. Even though the show was primarily about a father raising his son, it had a number of recurring prominent female roles. One was Hattie Denton, the general store owner. This is played by character actress Hope Summers. Millie Scott was a character that was introduced when the show's producers decided it was time for Lucas McCain to find a serious love interest and finally settle down. Millie was an independent, down-to-earth, jean-wearing woman who bought the town's general store. She was portrayed by actress Joan Taylor. When Lucas started to fall for Millie, not all the viewers were crazy about that idea. In fact, when the two got serious and started a relationship, a lot of the diehard fans didn't like the fact that a woman had become more important than his rifle. As the couple got serious, ratings for the show started to drop, so the producers decided it was time for McCain to leave Millie. Shortly thereafter, McCain started dating another character on the show, Lou Mallory. She was the owner of the Mallory House Hotel. She was portrayed by the beautiful Patricia Blair. The difference between Lou and Millie was that with Lou, McCain often had to use his strength and shooting skills to help her. The fans loved her dependence on him. As with every wonderful and memorable television show, there exist volumes and volumes of interesting and intriguing information. We realize that we have only scratched the surface here. We do hope, though, that we have highlighted enough about the series to spur your curiosity on to a further discovery about the show. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll keep chasing the classics.